How do you think that the Bible is written? That's a genuine question. Like, I'm genuinely asking. This is for Christian women. How do you think the Bible is written? Do you think the apostles are saying, and even the Messiah, are saying things to bring your attention to the Old Testament? Do you know that they're doing that? Or do you think that the Old Testament just happened and now you just believe in the name of Baal, Jesus Christ, and you will be saved? Because one example of this is Romans 11. Yeah, Paul in Romans 11 is quoting, or rather drawing attention to what happened to Israel in 2 Kings 17. And he's talking about the wild branches, not boasting against the natural branches in doing what they did. So when we try to tell the church, like we're called to do, the watchmen are called to warn Mystery Babylon. So Jeremiah 50 and 51 is all about the destruction of Mystery Babylon. And it says that this portion of Jacob, that Jacob is Jacob, his servant. A servant is a watchman. The Messiah called us all to watch. So that's why the Messiah called us all to watch. That's why you now need to take note of Jacob in prophecy and do what it says. Jeremiah 50 and 51, the portion of Jacob isn't like Mystery Babylon. That same quote is in Jeremiah 10. Jeremiah repeats it. And in Jeremiah 10, it's talking about how the heathen, he says, learn not the ways of the heathen. And be not dismayed by the times of the winter solstice and such like, Christmas and Easter. Because one cuts a tree out of the forest, decks it with silver and gold, and fastens it to the floor of the houses, that it moves not. What do you mean that is not a Christmas tree? So the watchmen that are only raised up in the latter days, that's throughout prophecy, only in the latter days will Jacob rise up. The portion of Jacob isn't like them who do this Christmas tree idolatry. But again, latter days. So what is it talking about? Where else are God's people doing a certain sin that involves a tree at a certain time of the seasons? Like, that's how you read the Bible. And then Romans 11, Paul is talking about 2 Kings 17, how Israel worshipped an Ashtaroth pole, a tree, to get divorced from Jehovah. Because that festival it was rooted in child sacrifice. It's an abomination to Jehovah. And it's all about the sun god, S-U-N God, which is where Jesus Christ comes from, because they changed his name. They changed the day of worship to Sun God Day. Paul then says that iniquity, sin, will be turned from Jacob. Ungodliness will be turned from Jacob. So Romans 11 is Paul warning the end days church not to go apostate and follow after the ways of the heathen, like Israel did to be divorced from Yah in the first place. And if the natural branches are broken off, then what will he do to the wild? How can you not? See, Isaiah 28, you are drunk. It's a spiritual drunkenness. You are drunk on pride. They're all idioms for the Antichrist spirit of error, the spirit of deep sleep. It's a strong delusion that is given to the children that will not circumcise their heart. They have no desire to obey. It's really a deep-rooted heart condition. Because there are people who are ignorant. But if they heard the truth, they would change. They would repent. But you people that hear this message, you are the reason why the wrath of God comes. Because you hear the warning and you harden your heart and you will not circumcise it. You have no desire to obey God and do what he delights in. You will not get rid of the Christmas tree. So you'll say, oh, it's not about the Christmas tree. So then what is Paul talking about? Let's recap Romans 11, actually. So he's referring to 2 Kings 17. You need to read that. If you don't read that, you don't have the love of God in your heart. You're not listening. Then he says not to do that, not to boast against the natural branches by doing the same thing that they did, because you're going to be cast off for your unbelief as well. That's the whole point he's making. Then he says that this portion of Jacob, he's referring to Jeremiah 10 and 50 and 51, this portion of Jacob that isn't like Mystery Babylon. That's what Jeremiah 15 and 51 is talking about. Again, you have to go and read it to know this. This portion of Jacob is not like them, and so because iniquity gets turned from them, they stop doing the Christmas tree. This is how you read line upon line to understand what Paul is talking about in Romans 11. And it's the remnant deepens. There's a remnant, like in Elijah's day, the 7,000 men that wouldn't bow their knee to Baal. So will there be in the latter days. There'll be 144,000 men that will not bow their knee to Christmas Jesus. That is what it's talking about. Unreal. That's how you read line upon line. Isaiah 28 tells you that because you don't read like that, you will be snared in taking into great tribulation. Because you have no desire to obey God whatsoever in your heart. You cannot get rid of your idolatry. And then you're going to have to do it in great tribulation. There you go, another line upon line. Deuteronomy 4 says, in the latter days, when you find yourself in great tribulation, if you return to the Holy Covenant, the Ten Commandments, he will have mercy upon you. So then, do you not think that how to escape great tribulation would be by keeping that Holy Covenant in the first place and teaching it to your neighbour? And keeping and teaching the Holy Covenant, the Ten Commandments, has everything to do with how Jehovah prefers mercy and not sacrifice. And there you go, another line upon line. That's why Yeshua even says, go and learn what this means. He's saying, go and learn where I'm quoting mercy. Jehovah prefers mercy over sacrifice. And don't define it with your own imagination, like the entire church has. He says, go and learn what this means. I will have mercy and not sacrifice. And the knowledge of God, the knowledge of the prophets, enter into the work of the prophets over burnt offerings. And then when you go and learn what it means, you're going to see that it says, it follows that up with, but they like men have transgressed the covenant. The mercy is the covenant. The sacrificial law was added to it. He prefers that you keep the Ten Commandments and teach it to your neighbour. And when you teach your neighbour the Ten Commandments, even when they hate you, and even when you have to be sharp with them, moo. Even when you have to be sharp with them, that is you showing them mercy. Because in great tribulation, when they remember your mercy, they're going to return to the Holy Covenant and they're going to be saved anyway, which was your whole motive. So go and learn what the Messiah and the apostles are talking about, or you're going to go into great tribulation.